I'm Donna, and this is my Capstone Project. So, I've always had trouble knowing exactly what I wanted to do for a career, and that's where communication studies came in for me because I love that it was a broader subject of study that can be incorporated into most career fields. And although I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do and what field I wanted to go into, I knew I wanted to work with people and hopefully be in a field where I can actually help people. Having a true understanding of communications is necessary for being able to effectively reach others on a deeper level um, and do things such as problem solve and be able to resolve conflicts with others. With all the different subjects that are mastered through communication studies, I believe that any job would be better done with these communication skills. So no matter what you want to do, if you have communication skills, um, you are better off. So going into the cornerstones section, the Communication Studies Department at San Jose State has four major cornerstones, which are technology, democracy, diversity, and globalization. So according to the San Jose State website, democracy is, quote, affirms the balance of individual freedom and socio-political consensus shaped through dialogue, argument, persuasion between individuals and groups. Diversity explains the variety and complexity of communication efforts to shape beliefs, values, and perceptions in different communities and cultures. Technology interrogates the implications of human communications in a mediated world, and globalization recognizes the interconnectedness and integration of our world and within human societies and cultures on a global context. So each of these cornerstones are meant to help make you proficient in a different area in order to become a well-rounded communicator and individual in general. So through the various communication courses and assignments, the goal is for us to get closer to mastering these various cornerstones and becoming well-rounded individuals and members of society. So going into the democracy cornerstone, the class that stands out for me for this cornerstone is COM 140P, which is Argumentation and Debate. This course focuses on mastering debate, which is an important part of democracy because it's an important part of being able to make your voice and opinions heard. So an assignment that helped me master this cornerstone is going to have to be the major debate assignment that I had in this class. And this is where we had to come up with a stance, or our stance, on a controversial issue and argue this issue. This is a great way for students to practice debate, and it shows the way that debate would work in a real world situation. So now going on to diversity. For diversity, I would say that being a student at San Jose State and taking communications courses in San Jose State, which is an extremely diverse environment, is a great way to understand the diversity cornerstone on its own. However, I would say that the assignments that stood out for me would be, for example, in this course, we had various discussion posts where students weigh in and write their answers and share it with the other students. And I think these group forums and discussion posts in this course and in other communication courses are a great way to understand diversity because we get to have a first-hand look at the way that other students in our own school view the world and view issues. And it's crazy to see the diversity that it occurs just in our own classrooms here at San Jose State University. So moving on to technology, there are various courses in the communication studies that look at the subject of technology, such as COM 141, which is New Media, and COM 169I, which is Media Responses and Criticism. And these focus specifically on how communication and technology are connected. However, we are able to see this connection with technology and communications everywhere because technology is everywhere. So, for example, in our inquiry courses that we're required to take, We are meant to learn to investigate and gather information. That's the point of the inquiry courses. And this is much more possible with the help of technology for things such as internet research. I think it would be extremely hard to do research without the help of technology. Of course, people did it in the past, but I think now we rely heavily on technology to get our information and our research. For example, in COM 155I, which focuses on data collection, we used resources on the internet to do this data collection, so technology was an important part of that class. Lastly, we're going to talk about globalization. This cornerstone is important because it is how the world is connected, which is so important in today's world where we are so connected because of going back to technology. Technology and globalization go hand in hand, I believe. So I think out of the FIP courses for communications, the foundation courses do the best job of exploring globalization, as this is a major part of communication studies, I believe. So for example, a course that I took, COM 173, which was Intercultural Communication and Global Understanding, is a perfect example of this. This course focuses on communication among different cultures, and similarities that exist among different cultures in the world, similarities and differences, of course. This can be seen through the major assignment that we had to complete, which was the cultural research project. And for this assignment, we had groups, and our groups had to choose one specific culture to focus on, and then go into depth of researching that culture and interviewing people from that culture in order to gain just a better understanding of how that culture relates and differs from our own. And in my case, I did Japanese culture. So yeah, globalization is definitely something that we touch on in communication studies, and that's just a big part of life. So now moving on into the communication studies focus. So for the purposes of this assignment, the area of study that I chose to focus on would be intercultural communication. So understanding intercultural communication is an important aspect of thriving in this diverse world, and forming relationships with people of different backgrounds, which is going to be inevitable. Having a theoretical understanding of intercultural communication means understanding how we as individuals are able to adapt and manage communication in intercultural settings. So there are some theories that showcase this area of study. For example, for me, some that stood out was the interpretive approach theory, which focuses on gaining knowledge about another culture through things like storytelling and sharing experiences. And this is a way to gain firsthand knowledge from a person from another culture, because you're hearing their experience through their own mouth, through their own storytelling. Another example of this would be the accommodation theory. And this theory explains how we change our speech and communication styles based on who we're speaking with. So in this case, if we were talking to someone from a different culture, we might make some changes to our speech style, or just our communication in general, just to accommodate that person and their culture. For my future career, one area that I'm interested in is possibly getting to healthcare, possibly the administrative side of healthcare. I do have some healthcare background, and cultural competency is extremely important in the healthcare field, as you are caring for people, and inevitably you're going to be caring for people from different cultures, so it's important that you are able to understand how to properly talk to them and treat them. So according to the article titled Intercultural and Cross-Cultural Communication Through a Physician's Lens, this is from the International Journal of Medical Education, there was a study that aimed to look at how Swedish doctors behaved and treated Middle Eastern patients versus their traditional Swedish patients. And the results of the study showed that physicians needed to behave very differently when treating patients from the different cultural groups, meaning they required different treatment, different communication based on where they were from. And this helped to lead to the conclusion that, quote, The participants confirmed large cultural differences in doctor-patient communication when encountering Iranian and Swedish patients. Intercultural and cross-cultural competencies were made visible, and to be able to appreciate other cultures' health values, beliefs, and behaviors, increased cultural competence in healthcare is of importance. So this is basically just saying that it is extremely important to have cultural competence in the healthcare field, because it is important to understand the differences in how you need to treat people from different backgrounds. So moving on, another passion of mine is travel, and another long-term life goal of mine is to continue to travel, and whether that's for work or my career or for personal fulfillment, that's something that I want to do. And I have found traveling to be a great way to open horizons and learn new things about different cultures. So another article we have here, so according to the article titled Open-Mindedness Trait Affects the Development of Intercultural Communication Competence in Short-Term Overseas Study Programs. And this is from the Journal of BMC Medical Education. And this is explaining basically that regardless of your experience, you need to have an open-mindedness trait in order to be able to really understand the importance of intercultural competence and just having an open mind to other cultures. So the article explains, quote, an opportunity to immerse in the new culture enables them, students, to develop their ability to offer services to people from different countries. However, the role that open-mindedness, a personality trait, can play in this process has not been explored. Essentially, this article goes on to explain that although traveling is a great way to learn about different cultures, it is important to have the quality of being open-minded and willing to learn in order for your travels to even mean anything. If you're not open-minded and willing to learn about other cultures, simply being around other cultures is not going to be enough. You need to have that open-mindedness. I found this very interesting, that basically your personality traits have to do with how well you're able to engage and be successful in intercultural communications. And I would like to think that I do have this open-minded trait, as I do love to learn about different cultures and how to communicate interculturally. The article concluded that open-mindedness trait is vital for increasing cultural immersion and hence promote intercultural communication skills. Alright, moving on. Thinking back on my educational and professional experiences, I have dealt with professors and higher-ups in work that have been both culturally understanding and not so culturally understanding. And the difference is very big for the experience that students, or, you know, if it's your boss, like lower employees have. The experience is going to vary depending on how open-minded that higher-up is. Wherever I end up professionally, I want to be that person that has a great understanding of these types of things. So another article we have here called Identifying Barriers to Effective Intercultural Communication. A growing international student population enhances university campuses by contributing to a diversified community and providing exposure to new cultural perspective. However, the rewards don't end here. Students and staff who engage in intercultural interactions tend to experience gains in communication skills, the ability to empathize, and openness to new ideas. So basically, this article is stating that there's a large growth in the international student population, and this can lead to a lot of positive things, such as just having a broader perspective on things. However, the article goes on to explain that not everyone is willing to take on these new challenges or these new changes to the environment. And it goes on to talk about the idea of ethnocentrism, which is the belief that one's own culture is superior. So it's unfortunate that in this day and time and age, there are still professors or bosses, whatever the case may be, that still think this way and are unwilling to adapt to people from different cultures. I hope that we can move past this, and I hope to be an example of this in my professional career as somebody who is accepting and understanding of people from different backgrounds, whatever that background might be. So, going on to the last article that I want to talk about, titled intercultural communication in U.S. higher education, how U.S. faculty and students can improve the international students' experiences. So this also talks about how the number of international students grows each year and how we need to gain the skills to adapt for this. The article states, quote, "We need to gain intercultural communication skills, seek to be globally aware, and anticipate what international students expect and need, which is to better understand other cultures, to be sensitive and respectful of cultural differences." I bring this issue up again because although this article is speaking specifically about international college students, this concept applies obviously to all areas, but the article stated, which was to be sensitive and respectful of cultural differences and to better understand that goes on for every aspect of life, not just international students. So whether that be coworkers or customers in the workplace, we need to understand how to be culturally sensitive. This is important to making everyone feel like they belong in the equation and that they're being treated fairly. And also, it is my goal in life to be an empathetic person, and being able to empathize with people is really hard if you're not understanding where they're coming from. And this article also points out the sacrifices that international students make. I think a lot of people don't think about the sacrifices that immigrants make to leave their home country and come to a brand new place and start over when they're being culturally insensitive. People tend not to think about that. But this article points it out that, they're already going through enough, so kind of the least we can do is just kind of be mindful of that. So, although there are many possibilities for what I want to end up doing in the future and for the rest of my professional career, one thing is clear. Being a proficient intercultural communicator is necessary in every aspect of life these days. So the article, Intercultural Communication, it's important to various career fields and perspectives by various authors, explains how this is a result of globalization. The article explains that because of globalization, we are bound to end up needing to communicate interculturally one way or another. The article states, quote, "Communicating with other cultures characterizes today's business, classroom, and community. Technology, especially the internet, has increased the probability that whatever is documented online will be read from someone from another culture." So intercultural communications is of importance in any career field, and thus the art of knowing how to communicate with other cultures should be a workplace skill that is emphasized. So essentially the article is summarizing what I've been trying to say all along, which is that intercultural communication has become an important part of essentially every aspect of life. If you don't have the skill, you are not moving forward with the world. Times are changing and we need to adapt and grow with them. Whatever I do, I want to be successful and inclusive, and it has become very clear, hopefully through my presentation, that understanding how to interact with people who come from different backgrounds is a big part of being able to do so. So, in conclusion, in this presentation I have identified my career and education goals and explained how the 4 cornerstones of communication studies have helped me become a better person and more well-rounded communicator. I've then focused on one area of study, which in this case was intercultural communication, and with the help of my different sources, I have aimed to explain why this area of study is important and how proficiency in this area is important for reaching my life and career goals. Hopefully by listening to my presentation, you have gained an understanding of the 4 cornerstones, and as well as how important being an intercultural communicator is to being a competent overall communicator and professional and empathetic individual. Thank you very much.